Let's do the NFC. Because the Niners are right now 7-point favorites, total high, 51 against the Lions. We just had Mike Pritchard on. Hopefully you were able to listen. And Pritch mentioned something that I mean, when you really break down these things, this is what somebody like Mike Pritchard's going to do. It could be bad weather next week. We saw it. It was not great weather in Santa Clara this weekend for that. It rained throughout the game.
Right.
And it did keep the total under. A missed field goal late by Carlson would have made that game go over. So, again, we just saw it in Buffalo where a missed kick decided game. Maybe a missed kick there would have been 24 all theoretically, and the game would go over that posted total of 50.5. Now we're at 51. Check the weather. Jared Goff, as Pritch said, not a joke. Small hands.
Yeah.
Small hands lead to big fumbles.
We're going to see if there's rain again, a little Eurythmics. Here comes the rain again. And look, 49ers, God, they seem to struggle. You were wondering why they weren't coming out, really more fired. And I laid the Niners, so I was wrong on the side. And Pritch brought up a good point about Brock Purdy. There was a little bit of, he was kind of hoping and praying on a couple of these throws that I don't know if the pressure maybe was getting to him, but I think you saw, and what I saw from the 49ers and what I don't want to see next week, if you're a 49ers backer, and I do like them laying the 6.5, by the way. There's still a few of them out there. I don't want to see what Kyle Shanahan did at the end of the first half.
Oh, yeah.
And how,
Boy, they mismanaged that whole.
How conservative that was. It just, I like the fact that, because I'm so used to watching the college game, Dave, and teams score so quick. And look,
they're going.
We were thinking about Bills Chiefs a couple years ago. Mahomes did it in 13 seconds. But you can manage the clock, but man, and you left yourself, you basically used all that time.
And missed a field goal.
For a 47-yard field goal that was no good. So, I want to see a little bit more aggressiveness here, because I will say one thing about Dan Campbell. They call him Dan Gamble for a reason, because he's going to be aggressive.
And a key turning point in the game today, tie game, 17 all, late third quarter, and they've got first and goal at the 5. They've run Montgomery down to the 1.
Mm-hmm.
It's second and goal from the 1. Two very iffy play calls from Ben Johnson, in my estimation.
Right.
They throw it twice. And I'm like, what are you doing? And then fourth down. Okay, let's go jumbo, let's go big, and let's just plow it up the middle, and they get the touchdown to take the lead. But to your point, they weren't even thinking about kicking the go-ahead field goal, which would have been a 19-yard field goal.
Right.
Dan Campbell's like, we're getting 7.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that should play into your handicap here for the total, and certainly the side as well. That Campbell, he's hell or high water, man. We saw it in Dallas going for the 2-3 different times, even when I thought he should have kicked. He's still going. So that's probably what you're going to get from Detroit. Kyle and the Niners side, it was a little bit more conservative.
A little bit more traditional in terms of how they manage the clock. They like to run the ball,
mm-hmm.
and look, they certainly should. And I think the game plan, probably in fairness, even though they got off to a shaky start anyway, usually the 49ers get off to such a good start because that Shanahan script is usually very good. Got off to a slow start, but still had a chance yesterday to really, I think, have a bigger lead. When it's 7-6, you go in 14-6. All of a sudden, that's going to change how Green Bay and and Matt LaFleur and company are going to call that game offensively for Jordan Love. And I think when Debo went out, that did change a lot of the game plan, because I do believe one of the reasons I had Debo Samuel over his rushing yards, I think it was 14.5, because I thought, okay, they're going to run him a little bit more. And they don't run him as much, San Francisco, and they didn't in the regular season, because Kyle Shanahan, was saying, hey, I want to use that as an option for the bigger games when the stakes are really, really high, which, of course, the stakes are really high in a divisional playoff game, so and even higher now in a conference championship. So we'll wait on the news on Debo battling that shoulder issue. Did miss a couple games in the regular season with that. But when I look at this, Dave, I wonder, and we mentioned that when our discussion with Pritch in the last segment, I wonder if this is the 49ers getting their scare. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, maybe this is a wake-up call, because it always reminds me a little bit of when you got that 1 seed in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
And that 8-9 winner gives that 1 seed a really tough game in the second round, and that 1 seed escapes. and then they go to Sweet 16 and just beat the hell out of whoever they're playing more often than not.
Yeah, I see it similarly. And again, we have a 1-3 matchup for the seeds, if you will, in the AFC, and a 1-3 seeded matchup here in the NFC, with the Lions being the 3 seed, the Cowboys were the 2. And I look at it, too, and I go, the Jamel Dean injury today, quiet as kept in that Buccaneer game, really changed the complexion. You mentioned Debo going out, how that changed the complexion of that game.
Mm-hmm.
When Dean went out, this is a 7-point game. They just got in a big sack. It's 3rd and 15. It's early stages of the fourth quarter, and the replacement comes in. Amon-Ra St. Brown gets 16. They keep going that way. Kudos to Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell because they attacked the backup for Jamel Dean. And on that, on that drive, the touchdown, again, was against Dean's replacement. So you hate to pick on the guy, but that's what the Lions did. They picked on the replacement. So these injuries that happen in-game, man, take note of those too, because it did change the Niner game. And I did get in on the Packers a little bit in the live side there, and those numbers all cashed, obviously. I thought they might win the game outright at one point. It is odd when you take away a key cog to whatever machine that is. That's going to happen probably in one of these two big games.
When they say KYP, know your personnel.
Yes.
And that's what you have to do, and you have to look at these individual matchups. And we saw it today when Dean went out, and I think, was it McCollum?
Yeah.
That they had to put in, and he was targeted immediately.
They wasted zero time to go at him. So that's what elite coordinators do. When your personnel, we're going to get an injury. We don't know who's going to get injured. But it's going to happen in one of these games. So keep note of that in the live betting market, too. It's a good way to handicap those as well.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.